Yoshi, man, I just got my Flicker Strike build to work in Path of Exile 2, and now you have to go and release a balance update? I'm busy here, man. But jokes aside, we've got a minor balance update here with a bunch of changes for a few different characters, including notably Graves, the low elo terrorist who's been absolutely steamrolling the game ever since they made her Jar of Dead more reliable. And we've also got some changes for other characters, including Apollo and Yamato, so let's just get right into it. As always, a link to the patch notes will be in the description down below if you want to follow along and read the changes, but let's get started with Apollo here, who's actually getting some buffs. As it turns out, when you rework Riposte to make it significantly less reliable and impossible to use as a retreating ability where you can just dash in the other direction, yeah, the character tends to get a lot worse. So, what they've done is they have buffed some of his upgrades and also buffed the base Itanilo-san. Starting with Disengaging Sigil Tier 2, he now gets 30% fire rate instead of 20%, that's a pretty big increase, and also Flawless Advance Tier 1 and Tier 2 have both been buffed. The Tier 1 heal has gone from a flat 30 up to a flat 35, and the spirit scaling on that has been improved from 0.75 to 1.0 spirit scaling. That, I would argue, is the bigger buff there, because once you get Boundless Spirit and a bunch of other spirit scaling items, that's going to be a lot of healing. Shoot, I've already got 145 healing on that, and I just bought a couple of items here. So that is very strong. Also, the Tier 2 cooldown reduction has been improved from 10 seconds to 12 seconds of cooldown reduction, bringing it down to a total of just 14 seconds by default on Flawless Advance, and if we get Superior Cooldown, that is an 11.2 second cooldown on this ability. That is pretty sick. Look at that, and yeah, we'll get to use that again very shortly, so that's nice. But where the big damage comes into effect is with Itanilo-san, because they have buffed both the base and the spirit scaling of this ability, and once again, the spirit scaling got a very sizable buff. First up, the flat damage, just up from 190 to 200, 10 extra damage, not like a crazy big deal, but it is still helpful, but the spirit scaling has gone from 2.3 to 2.6, 0.3 extra spirit scaling on an ability that already has pretty incredible spirit scaling. And so, if once again we just get a whole bunch of spirit things from this random build that I've got, and we go ahead and take a look at Itanilo-san, 526 delayed damage, then we get some levels in here too, just max level for the heck of it, 641 delayed damage. Oh my goodness. So if we get the bonus damage on that, that's going to be more than a 1200 burst. Yeah, this thing is going to hit hard now. But now it's the moment you've all been waiting for. Let's take a look at Graves and her nerfs. So this character got much stronger in the previous balance update because they did two things. First of all, they buffed the reliability of the Jar of Dead with numerous targeting improvements that all feel great and were definitely needed. But they didn't nerf the damage to compensate. And on top of that, they gave her a buff to Grasping Hands where the base ability now spawns 1 ghoul. You don't need the upgrade for that anymore. And then when you upgrade to the Tier 3, you get 2 ghouls raised. So yeah, that's back. And it's absolutely disgusting. Holy crap. So the combination of those two things have made her an absolute powerhouse, especially at any rank under Eternus where people don't know how to counter her. And even in Eternus, she's still busted. She still had like a 54% win rate or something crazy like that at the highest rank in the game. So yeah, this character definitely needed some nerfs, and what they have done is they have reduced the damage on the Jar of Dead and also her ghouls. So the Jar of Dead's damage has been reduced from a flat 20 to a flat 17 at base, and from 0.31 spirit to 0.27 spirit. So this is about roughly a 15% decrease in the damage, which about lines up with what they did to the ghouls, where they just straight up wrote on the patch notes, hey, these guys deal 15% less damage now, which is great. Definitely needed both of these abilities to be tuned down in the amount of damage they were doing, because holy crap, they were bursty, and well, the minions were also very abundant. So yeah, this is all very good. And they've also done one very interesting change to the ghouls. They have increased the amount of money enemy players can make from killing these ghouls. So previously, they gave 25 souls and plus 1 additional soul per minute. But that has been increased to a base of 35 souls, which is rather substantial, especially early on in the match, and they doubled the souls per minute from 1 to 2, which realistically, that isn't that many souls still, but it will definitely add up because of how many ghouls Graves is able to deploy. So if the enemies are good at killing minions and they take out, 2, 3, 4, 5 minions from the tombstone all in quick succession, they are actually going to make a little bit of money from that. You got to worry about spamming your tombstone and not putting it in a good place where the ghouls will explode on the enemies before the enemies are able to kill the ghouls. Obviously, if the ghouls explode like that and they deal damage, they don't give the enemies any money. But if the enemies are able to kill your ghouls before they ever reach them, yeah, they're going to be making a pretty penny now. So that's actually a very unique way of going about nerfing Graves, because if you give the enemies more money to counterplay her, then they're going to be able to afford those counterplay items sooner, like return fire for the skulls, monster rounds for the ghouls, although that's pretty cheap. But yeah, you get the idea, right? Ricochet, all of that's going to be easier to afford when you're playing against Graves now. Now, McGinnis' ult is getting some pretty heavy-handed nerfs here, and I gotta say, this one did slightly catch me off guard just because I have barely been seeing McGinnis in my games, but on the few times I have seen McGinnis, yeah, I mean, the ult build is still a menace. So let's take a look at what they did here. First of all, the heavy barrage's range has been substantially reduced by 14 meters from 50 down to 36. So if I go ahead and cast this, and let's just see that maximum range. So this is about as far away as I'm able to hit now. I can't even hit my Guardian from all the way over here. Previously, I would have been overshooting that. That is a devastating nerf. Now, of course, you can still get greater expansion to try and improve the range of that. And now, well, I'm able to hit the Guardian. Because, of course, if you reduce the base range by that much, percent base increases aren't going to do nearly as much as they did before. So, gone are the days of sniping with McGinnis ult, at least sniping as far away as she used to be able to do. On top of that, the tier 1 dash slow has been reduced from 30% down to 18%. Holy crap, that's actually quite a bit of a nerf. Now, the base movement slow is still 30%, and it doesn't actually say on the tooltip that the dash slow is any different, but I can assure you that's what they've said in the patch notes, so the dash slow should be much less intense. And finally, a DPS nerf. The tier 3 provides just 15 damage per rocket now, instead of 18. So, yeah, another big cut down on the damage there. Ult McGinnis might finally be dead. We'll just have to see, but these are some very substantial nerfs. Pocket is once again getting some very small nerfs. First of all, the tier 3 Flying Cloak is slightly less effective now. Instead of providing 14 seconds of cooldown reduction, it now only provides 13 seconds. And the tier 3 Affliction's DPS has been reduced from 18 down to 14. So definitely some nerfs, but yeah, I mean, Pocket's kind of the least interesting character here. Alright, now let's talk about these Silver nerfs. Silver is another character who's been a menace to absolutely everybody, except for me apparently. I don't know, I never really have a problem with her, but yeah, in everybody else's games, she's terrifying. So Silver has received some nerfs to the Slamfire, Entangling Bola, and the Lichen Curse. The Slamfire just does less damage now on the current health component. The current health damage has been reduced from 3% to 2.5%, and then on the tier 3, the bonus that you get has been reduced from 8% to 7%. So if you upgrade to the tier 3, you're now just looking at a total current health percent of 9.5%, which isn't nearly as high as it was before. And then the Entangling Bola has received some nerfs too. The cooldown has been increased by 3 seconds from 20 up to 23. And the tier 2, well, it does at least give you the cooldown reduction back, because when you upgrade to this, you get 8 seconds of cooldown reduction now instead of 5 seconds. So, not the hardest nerf here, but it will hurt her in the early game, and if you choose to not upgrade the Bola very early into the match, and you prioritize your other upgrades, then you're just going to have to deal with that longer cooldown for a substantial part of the game. And finally, Lichen Curse here, getting a little bit less fire rate from 65% down to 60%, less DPS as the werewolf. So yeah, pretty straightforward nerfs, just less damage on this character, which is fair enough, but the Slamfire nerf in particular is absolutely brutal because it will impact her gameplay loop as a whole. If you're not able to do as much current health damage with the Slamfire here, then it's going to be harder to build into your Lichen Curse, which means that you won't be able to go berserk as much, so I think that's definitely the heaviest hitting component of these changes. Victor's getting one nerf that I have been pleading for, and that is a longer cooldown on Shocking Reanimation. In particular, actually, a nerf to the tier 3, because he already has the longest ult cooldown in the game, tied with Dynamo, but then when you upgrade to the tier 3, yeah, he just gets 2 minutes of cooldown reduction? And that's the nerfed value. Previously, it gave 130 seconds of cooldown reduction. Now it's only 120 seconds. But that's still a whopper of cooldown reduction, and frankly, I think they could have been way more heavy-handed with this nerf. I could see taking it down to 90 seconds even, because, yeah, this is very oppressive. Very, very oppressive. And finally, we've got Yamato, who's been actually a surprisingly strong character recently because of some buffs that they gave her. So first up, they have reverted the buff that they gave to Power Slash. This got a massive spirit scaling buff, all the way up to 2.1 spirit scaling, and that's been brought back down to 1.85, which is very reasonable, and frankly, she didn't really need that buff in the first place, I would say. And then also, the Flying Slash's cast range has been reduced by 2 meters, so she can't snipe people from as far away anymore, but as you can see, it's still a pretty good distance, and then this will just follow them wherever they go. So, still a powerful character, but these nerfs were definitely appropriate. But anyways, let me know what you think about all these changes in the comments section down below. Do you agree with all of these nerfs and other changes that they've done to these characters, or do you think that this balance patch sucks? Personally, yeah, I'm a fan of most of these changes. I think they're very reasonable, especially, thank goodness, Graves got nerfed. That was very appropriate, and I have to say that even as someone who actually does enjoy playing this character. Blasphemy, I know. But as always, if you appreciate my coverage of the update, then make sure that you like this video and subscribe down below so you don't miss out on future update videos from me. With all that being said, thank you guys for watching. I will see you all next time. Peace out.